Hey everyone, it's Matt again with another video, and today we're going to show you how to rebuild and fix a 1946 Ford speedometer cluster. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have all of your tools. Now the first kind of tool you're going to need is a special tool that will actually pull the needle off of the cluster. Now this tool is actually very old and specialty made for this actual purpose. So what it does, it has a threaded dowel internally. And how that works here is what it will do is you slide the needle in through the housing of it, like that kind of thing. I'll show it to you more as we actually start ripping into the clusters. But what it does, it'll slide on. You screw down the threaded dowel here so it makes a stiff connection so you can actually pop out the needle without actually damaging the internals or the needle itself. Because if you don't use tools like this, what you can genuinely do is damage the needle, or you can damage the actual shaft coming through the speedometer and actually pull that clean out, which will make the entire internal housing actually inoperable and destroyed. So you don't want to do that, so you want to make sure you have a specialty tool like this. Some of the other tools you'll need are some flathead screwdrivers. I got a large and a small right here. The large is for some of the bigger screws and prying open the housing, and the smaller ones for more fine work. A nut driver. This size is pretty standard. I don't know what it is we're going to actually need, but we're going to go with this one for the time being. And a set of needle nose pliers. Another piece of equipment you're probably going to need is one of these. This is very old and much older than I am. So what this does is has a speedometer cable sticking out of it so you can hook up into these heads on a bench. And how it works is once they are hooked up and in line, you turn the knob and it'll actually give you a generated speed in miles and kilometers. And you can use this to check the accuracy of them beforehand and afterhand, and that way you can know if anything is incorrect or something needs fixing or what is wrong. So it's a very good tool to have. So one of the first things we're going to do is put these on the machine, and we're going to see how they function right out of the box from the customer, and that way we'll have a better idea of what the customer is actually talking about, and we can go from there. So what we're going to do now is hook this into the machine, and we're going to run it and see if we can't duplicate the problem the customer was talking about. Stops at 70. So the machine was able to replicate the problem the customer was happening. It actually stops it right in the middle of 60 and 80. So something's amiss. Otherwise, the needle was floating relatively smooth. This will tend to make the needle jump around a little bit, just because it's a super old machine and it's wobbling all over the place. So we will crack this open, see what is what, and we'll go from there. Alright, so what we're going to do is get into this and find out what the problem is. And the first thing we need to do is take off this housing here. Now the old stuff like this literally just had things pinched on by pressing your screwdriver against the rim to hold it in. That's just how they did it back in the day. Things have come a long way since then. So what we're going to do is pull this loose, and then that way the other housing will come off, and then we can go further from there. Just like so. So we'll put that over there to the side. So this is the inside of the speedometer head without the casing on it. So we just have our little faceplate in there and our needle. So what we're going to do first is take the needle off. Take our special needle puller. What we're going to do is slide that in behind it. Sometimes it takes a little bit of finesse. Nice little pull. Comes off like that. you don't damage anything, and you got the part ready to put on the side. Next, what we're going to do is take the faceplate off, just a couple flathead screws. So this is what the internals look like without the faceplate, the needle, the front housing, everything like that. So as you can see here, this doesn't have any kind of a trip meter. All it has is the odometer, and that's about it. So what we have in here is the little hairspring. We have our odometer. We have a little gear here, which turns this gear, which actually rotates the odometer. And what I can see already from the get-go is someone at some point has already been into this, because these are relatively brand new screws. So I don't know who was into this before I got to it, but someone has clearly opened this up and done some kind of work to it before. Don't know exactly what, but what we'll do is take the whole inner assembly out just to see what's what. And what we'll have to do is take this little metal cap off, which holds in this gear, pull out this, we'll take out the housing, and everything should pop out like so. Take the little cap off, like so. And what we're going to do is pull out the little gear here, which actually isn't looking all that bad. It's a little dirty, but otherwise the teeth all look good. Now we're going to pull out the odometer. Nice little piece like that. You don't want to touch the numbers at all on these old ones, because just because of how old they are, the paint will literally come off in your hands, so I avoid touching them at all costs. So now all we have left is to pull the inner housing out and see what these screws are actually doing. So what we have here is the component which has the other screws on it, and what is happening here is there seems to be some kind of a brace of some kind that someone has installed at some point, and I can tell just by looking at it, it's cocked over to the one side. So what's happening here, which actually kind of goes along with what the problem is when the magnet is grabbing the disc and pulling it, once it gets to about 70, what's happening is this is actually stopping physically onto this metal disc here from this metal disc, and it's not going forward anymore. And I know you're not really going to be able to see that, but this disc here is warped. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these little nuts and screws off just to see what's happening. You might not even need this. I don't even know why this would be here, but we'll take it off and kind of go from there. So without this little plate that's been screwed into it on it, it actually flows much more freely. As you can see, you get a little bit of movement in there. So I wonder if that alone is going to fix it. They were trying to do something, but I don't know. I just don't know. So what we're going to do is take that off. It might genuinely be as simple as that. We don't know. We'll have to literally put it back together and run it again and see if that actually fixes the problem. And if that's the case, then great. Why would you hold it down flush like that? Anyways, so we'll get this put back together, not completely, but what we're going to do is put it together enough to test run it just to see how far the needle will swing, and we will go from there. So the needle isn't working at all now, so we're going to kind of dig a little deeper, see what's what. Okay, so I've been able to deduce that the reason it's locking up is this disc here is actually bent. So what we're going to do is try and straighten it, and hopefully that fixes everything, and we'll go from there. You got scraping? Nay.
So it's bent.
It's bent. So after tinkering with this for a good 20 minutes, this speed cup hairspring assembly is actually bent, and I've tried for, like I said, 15-20 minutes to try and bend it back into place, and that's why someone used this little brass strip there to try and fix it before I got my hands onto it, but this thing just constantly catches and so on and so forth, so this part will need to be replaced. So what we're going to do is crack open our donor speedometer cluster and see if we can't steal some components, but we don't know what the condition of this gauge is yet, so we need to crack it open and see what we can find. So this donor cluster has actually been worked on before. I can tell because right inside it says 421 or 2451. Right there. So someone has stolen the most important part of this out of this cluster. well, there's something I didn't expect to see. I pulled the housing out of the old one, and lo and behold, someone before me has stolen one of the most important pieces out of the entire thing. So there goes that idea. Yeah, so I can't fix this until I get a new kind of speed cup hairspring assembly. So I will have to tell that to the customer. I'll have to wait on some parts, providing they can be actually found. Since this is from 1946, the parts are going to be pretty scarce, if I'm honest. I guess that's all we can really do today. I'll put them back together and tell the customer, but can't really fix them today because I need parts. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll get another video soon or eventually about me fixing this, or maybe the customer might genuinely throw it away and try to figure something else out, but I'll try to keep you posted. Thanks again for watching. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, take care, and until the next video, have a good one.